Hi, Katya Paprika here again. Today we are going to prepare a very exciting divine dessert which just melts in your mouth. It's a bit sour, a bit sweet. For the bottom layer, of course, you can use any biscuit if you wish, but we will use exactly such a date nut mass. By the way, you can take any nuts. I myself will use a mix today because, it slightly pushes the jaw to use purely almonds, and therefore I mix it today with pumpkin seeds. If you don't have coconut oil to add this layer, it's nothing scary. The main thing is that your dates are fresh, soft, or just soak them a little longer, because you should get such a sufficiently sticky mass, similar to plasticine, in order to make a very strong frame, the base for our today's cake, pie, dessert, call it what you want. And not to bore you with conversations, I will now show you the whole process of preparation, and at the end I will voice several very important moments and there will be a tasting, so watch. First, let's prepare the crust and the base. We'll take dates and nuts as well as coconut oil. We soak the dates in boiling water to soften them. 5 minutes is enough for me, mine are fresh. And we remove the pits from them. It's convenient to pull out the pit with a stem. And now we send our dates to the blender cup and the mix of nuts and a little coconut oil if desired. Whisk until the mixture is pliable. You can also use large pieces of nuts. I recommend lining the bottom of the mold with paper or food film for easy removal and cutting of the whole cake. It's inconvenient to level with a spatula, so we wet our hands with water and press the mass well to make an even crust. We send it to the refrigerator for now. For the lemon layer, roll the lemon on the table to make it easier to squeeze the juice. Or you can put it in the microwave for 15 seconds and we squeeze the juice, which then needs to be strained, as well as the zest, only the yellow part. So our ingredients: coconut milk, cedar, lemon juice, turmeric, salt, agar, cucumber starch and sweetener. To start, we mix all the dry ingredients together. Then, stirring with a whisk, we gradually pour in the lemon juice and coconut milk. It's important to stir thoroughly so that the sediment doesn't settle at the bottom and no lumps form. And now we send it to the heated stove. The mixture will thicken very quickly from the starch. Constantly stirring with a whisk, bring it to a boil and keep stirring the mixture for a minute, maximum 2, on the fire. And let the cream cool a bit, constantly stirring with a whisk so that the cream doesn't lose its shape and cools faster. We eventually pour it onto the crust. And 10 minutes later, we send it to the refrigerator to cool down. You need to cut the dessert with a knife dipped in hot water. And cut the base of the cake well. Then you will get even and beautiful pies. For convenience, you can even put it in the freezer for 15 minutes and then cut it. The texture turns out to be very soft, but at the same time dense. The consistency reminds of bird's milk. As promised, here are a few nuances. Firstly, you should indeed use coconut milk because, firstly, it's fat content. This milk is typically sold with a fat content of 16–18%. You will get, not just some jelly to taste, as if it were made on water. You will get exactly such a delicate, silky texture, which just melts in your mouth and leaves such a slightly fatty aftertaste. If you try to replace it with something more or less similar, and more or less similar is usually, for example, cow's whey for us, then I think it's not worth telling you yes about what happens when you mix whey or milk with citric acid. All your milk starts to curdle, that is, to curdle. This does not happen with coconut whey, but with coconut whey such a process can occur. It is less noticeable to the eye, but if you have cooked some Pan-Asian dishes, you have noticed that when heated, coconut milk starts to separate this fat on top, yes, and the mass starts to settle. The same process happens, all this mass starts to slightly contract. And to maintain this consistency, we add cornstarch here. That's why I advise not to neglect this component and definitely add cornstarch, because it provides us with this fluffiness of the mass, a uniform consistency. It is essential to thoroughly and intensively whip it using a whisk. And so in this way we maintain this uniform mass with you. We heat all this mass, of course, in order for our agar to be activated. Unlike gelatin, it must indeed boil, and only then does it reveal its qualities. Just don't boil it too long, a minute, maximum 2, and be sure to check the agar before using it. Because if you take some bad, low-quality agar, your whole dessert will simply be ruined. Just take, I don't know, a tablespoon of water, a pinch of agar, heat it in some small saucepan, and wait until this mass boils. If your liquid has become gel-like, then okay, everything is fine, you will succeed, everything will set. And if the liquid remained as liquid as ordinary water, then you have a problem, guys. You need a different agar. Those were all the important points, and now the tasting. The most interesting thing, guys, is that days have already passed probably after I filmed this recipe, and I'm only now filming all this conclusion. I've already set aside a piece for myself because it's really tasty. And honestly speaking, we liked it when, for example, you put a slice of lemon on top, which seemed to be just for decoration, but it infuses a bit, gives an additional sourness, and then you remove it and the dessert just becomes bomb. This is just a magical dessert, seriously. I really love desserts that don't need to be baked, which are gentle, just melt in your mouth from the fridge in hot weather. We have over 30 degrees, just an ideal dessert, but that's all for me. A huge thank you for your likes and for your comments. Be sure to share this video on your social networks so that as many people as possible learn about this amazing dessert. Yes, just like that, without any embarrassment. You were with Katya Paprika. Listen to your body and let's eat delicious, healthy food.